What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Now then, in this one I'm going to be giving my thoughts on modern BMWs. So a little bit of background information. I own a 2008 BMW E65 series. So we're talking about a almost 12-year-old car, and it is my pride and joy. I absolutely love it, and there is only really there's a few little things that I would actually change on the car. Apart from that, the car is perfect for me. But today I actually have a 2019 BMW X1. So I'm going to be going over a few of the things that I dislike and a few of the things that I do actually quite like. So let's get into it then. Okay then, so I think the first thing has to be said is the sheer size of these grills. Like, that is I have quite big hands, and these grills are absolutely massive. And I know this is only an X1. I know, like, on the X5, the X3 even, and then on like the 5 and the 7 series, they're even bigger than this. I just don't know what the appeal is with these huge grills. I just prefer them being nice, sleek and small kidney grills. I really do not know why they need to be this big. I guess they do have some, cooling benefits, obviously more airflow to the radiator and the intercooler, but in my opinion they just do not look right. BMW are kind of turning their looks more into a Lexus, which it's not BMW at the end of the day, so I'm really not a fan of these huge grills. Now the lights I am actually a massive fan. I think these really do look well. These have not changed much at all from the E90 and the E60 era, so these are pretty much very similar to the headlights that I have on my car, so I am a massive fan of these. So the wheels, to be honest, I'm not really a massive fan on these. These are of course M Sport wheels, but they really do not look that exciting. I think the MV2s, MV3s and the 19-inch Spider alloys, I think they look so much better than that. It's obviously a personal preference, but yeah, I'm just not a massive fan of these new BMW M Sport wheels. Okay then, so with the use of the key, we can open up the trunk of the car, so the tailgate raises. And one thing that is good is obviously makes it a whole lot easier to close the trunk, because on my car, on the E60, it can be a little bit of a pain to slam the tailgate down. Now there is a button there, but you can also do it from your key as well. So if you just hold down the tailgate button, it actually just closes, which is a nice feature. I am a big fan of that. Another thing that I do think actually looks quite nice is the twinned tip exhaust. Now a lot of car companies get this completely wrong. They have way too much plastic, and the actual exhaust exits are just fake. So they have like all this plastic surround. You think, oh, that exhaust looks quite nice, but then it's actually just a regular exhaust pipe with just some fancy plastic around it. But as far as I can tell, these are the actual, they're the actual tips. So yeah, I'm actually quite a big fan of those tips. They look quite nice. Coming into the car then, they've obviously added this ambient lighting, which I think it looks all right. Before they did have a bit more ambient lighting in the headliner, which is obviously gone now, but yeah, I think that looks fine, to be honest. I'm guessing there is a way to change the color if you really want to. The seats in this thing, especially in the rear, to be honest, don't really look the most comfortablest. I wouldn't like to spend too much time in the rear of here, but in terms of the general layout, it really hasn't changed a whole lot on BMWs in the last 10-15 years or so. Okay then, so coming in to the front of the car, this has obviously changed a whole lot. The steering wheel is quite nice actually. I quite like these steering wheels. Very simple. Obviously this is a DCT, so it has the flappy paddle gear shifters. So that's quite nice. Yeah, very minimalistic, only a few little controls on each side. So I do quite like these steering wheels, and I am a fan because they are a little bit chunkier, so that is nice. The stalks on here though, they don't really look the best. They look really like cheap and plastic. Like you'd expect to see this on, I don't know, like an entry-level Ford Fiesta or something. They really could have used like a better plastic. It's really kind of like a cheap hard plastic, which is kind of the theme throughout, I'm kind of feeling, because you know, these buttons, they're not that nice to touch. They're a bit sort of I don't know, it's just it's the use of the hard plastics. I really do not like that. It's kind of all throughout the interior. See, this is, I think this is leather. That's quite nice. That's obviously quite good. That's pretty much the same as what you'd expect on like an E60 or something. Now, I can appreciate that you know, I'm kind of comparing an X1, so an entry-level BMW, to like my E65 series, which is obviously like a higher class BMW. But I have actually been in a newer 3 Series as well, and this is pretty much the same use of materials in the front. So that's why I'm actually speaking from experience here. But yeah, I have, one thing I've noticed like on all of the newer, later BMWs is the interior is pretty much the same on all of them. So they all have this same sort of layout. iDrive controller, yeah, pretty much the same as the one in my car. Obviously mine is the generation before this. Yeah, gear shifter, you know, it's pretty standard stuff. It hasn't really changed much over the years. These little buttons down here, yeah, that's quite nice. Obviously to change from Eco Pro to your sport mode and everything. The ProNav, the iDrive, the actual iDrive system itself, I am a fan of. So let's put the ignition on. Let's show you the iDrive itself. So very easy to use. You know, you have your 6 menus here. Obviously this has a connected drive as well, so you do have access to the internet and different apps and things. But yeah, very easy to use. We have even an owner's handbook now, which is obviously very good. You know, it's good to have a little handbook actually built into the iDrive, rather than having to, you know, look through your glove box just to try and find the handbook on how you work the heating controls, for example. The dials on the display, to be honest, I'm not a massive fan. I am a little bit old school. I actually prefer the analog dials. I'm not a massive fan of the digital ones. I don't know why. I just think it kind of looks a bit too futuristic. You kind of lose the sense that you're in a car, and you sort of makes you feel that you're like, you know, you're in a spaceship or whatever. But yeah, it's probably just me who thinks that. But yeah, I'm not a massive fan of them. I definitely prefer the analog dials. So we'll take a look under the bonnet then, if we can find out where the latch is. Okay then, so a little bit difficult trying to get the bonnet open because I never used this before. I'm used to a catch that you flick up, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually very simple, to be honest. You just have to pull this lever twice, so actually very easy and user friendly. But looking into the engine bay, well, where do you start? You can't really see anything without removing a whole bunch of plastic, which Yeah, it makes it look aesthetically a little bit better, but you know, if you want to work on this thing yourself, you're gonna have to like remove the airbox just to even see the side of the engine. Now this is, bearing in mind, this is only like the 2-litre petrol. Imagine if you had like the 3, 4-litre engine in this car, you're really not going to have a whole lot of room to work with. So yeah, I would prefer to see the airbox over here out the way, maybe have a little bit of a bigger engine bay, but I guess that's the nature of cars today. We kind of want everything to look better rather than have it functional and easier to work on. So yeah, that is the engine bay, and that is really all I can think about covering. So I guess, you know, I've got to kind of try and move with the times. Some of the things on the newer cars I do like. Obviously they're a lot easier to use, they're a lot more user friendly, and they're just trying to make it an all-round easier experience to drive a car. So the fact that they don't really make too many manual transmission cars anymore, they're kind of obviously moving more over to automatics, and then obviously later electric cars, is a little bit less fun for the driver. You know, if you actually enjoy driving, then you're probably going to enjoy driving a manual transmission a little bit more, and that is kind of like I said, that's kind of like the theme throughout the car, the fact that it's easier to operate and easier to use, which you know, I'm not really that big of a fan of. Like I said, I enjoy my driving, I enjoy working on my own cars, and I think that may be that side of things, where actually working on cars may be a little bit more difficult on these newer cars, especially as there are more and more modules and potential electrical problems as well. So yeah, I just thought I'd give my 2 cents on the, you know, the newer BMWs that have you know, been coming out recently, and yeah, I think I've done a fairly decent job of doing it. It's, you know, I haven't scripted this or anything, I've just sort of talked off the top of my head, and yeah, I want to thank you guys for watching. Please give this video a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I'll see you guys in that next video. Peace!